Hi everyone, it's Sarah, No Support Workers, and tonight I have got Kelvin. Kelvin, welcome to the podcast.
Good evening, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so happy that you're able to join us because you are actually working for your wife, and your organization that you work for is called Hopewell Community Care, which is really exciting because I do, you know what I love about this sector is that the ability that people can have all these different companies and organizations and like yourself, your mum and dad business owners.
Yes, yes. Well, I think the coolest story about that is the fact that my wife is actually a business owner and I work for her. It's a cooler story for me to tell because I know she's poured her heart and soul into making it work, and I'm just here to support her along that journey. But ultimately, the end state is to ensure whatever we do results in something positive for the people we support.
Did you I know you've had quite a big and long career in the disability sector. Is that how you met? Like, were you working at the same house somewhere?
No, I wish that was the case. No, we actually met in Chapel Street.
Were you doing chat laps?
We met at Chapel. I think I think there was a Friday night. There was an event hosted, and yeah, she worked past and yeah, caught my eyes. But we did work for the department at the same time, but not in the same sort of environment because yeah, that conflict of interest. Because I was a team leader at the time, and yeah, so definitely won't be having her working in the same house.
Small world. I just I'm a romantic at heart, so I just thought maybe one of you opened the door and went, "Hi, I'm here for shift today," and this is how the romance started.
Only if that was the case. Look, a funny story about how our path crossed and how we relate to the disability sector. There was a house I worked in Houston, so next to Charleston, and I left. And she was a casual while she was at uni. She then started working there, and the people we supported at the house always used to give a stick to say I'm the better version of the couple. Yeah. So we had some really lovely young people. And so sometimes she would drive and choose my vehicle and they would ask her, well, why are you driving Kelvin's car today? So yeah. Yeah, it was quite interesting. It was interesting time. But yeah, we did spend some time working together in the sector, but not together.
When you were working for DHS, were you a part of the group that had to transition from DHS in Victoria into the 5 providers that were picked by the state government to run all the ex-DHS houses?
Yes. So my cohort transitioned through to Scope. I think we were known then as Home at Scope, or pretty much a subsidiary of Scope at the time. Yeah, so we were one of those providers. It was interesting. I think I still remember it was sometime in March 2019, because it was at the time I was in sort of a leadership role. So I had to play in that to be able to navigate the change, not only for the people who support, also for the families and also the team. So yeah, it sounds like, reflecting back on it now, seems like a long time ago, but definitely brings back some good memories.
Does it? Yeah. There was some, yeah. I'm trying not to be like an old soul, but there were some things that DHS did that were really fantastic compared to the now under the NDIS model. And that's probably like a podcast for another day, but 100%. But, it was quite a big change because we as providers, we had to learn to work with a new provider that was the biggest one in the state.
Yeah. I think one of the cool things about the DHS and what, at the time, just thinking about my time coming through the ranks, everybody wanted to sort of work for DHS because they were sort of the gold standard.
Yes, they did. You're right.
Yeah. They were sort of the gold standard. So it was like, I'm a public servant and I work in the disability sector. So we had a really good read through it. But I know there was a lot of work done with the person-centered active support plan. And there was a lot of work with all the changes that were being rolled out, DHS sort of pioneered that, especially when we were transitioning from the medical definition of disability to that social definition. And then eventually there was another phase of it that eventually we started looking at it from a human rights point of view, where I was fortunate enough, one of the people I work for, Melba, they were sort of the pioneers for that. When we, as a sector, we still sort of operating in a social module, and they were pretty much looking at it from the human rights point of view. So yeah, there was a lot of good stuff that DHS did. And I'll tell you now, some of the people that I work with DHS during my time in DHS that sort of run their own business or are CEOs and other providers. We have something that we used to refer to as the Bible, so which is the RSPCM. I'm pretty sure I've got that correctly. Residential Service Practice Manual. My memory it's all coming back to me. So we still reference everything that when the NDIS rolled out, even with the big program, a lot of what was in those manuals were being cascaded down to some of the services that were being stood up, because all of that knowledge sort of filtered through and permeated in pretty much most of the sector.
I must admit, because I do my homework before I do my podcasts, and I looked at your career progression from, I must admit, the DHS parts caught my eye, but also all the big providers you've worked to before you opened your own business. So you've definitely done the miles. So you've gone from support worker to team leader to house supervisor to a general manager and to opening your own business. Is there a job or a position that you really enjoyed the most? We can say this, don't tell your wife.
Really, really tricky one. So you're right. I think I would like to believe I've held every forward-facing operational role in the sector. The role that I enjoy the most, and there's a correlation to a role that is sort of in the army as well. And that cohort of people always say we've got the best job in the army. And that was when I was a team leader. Because as a team leader, house supervisor at the time that were called with the department, you have sort of 1 foot in leadership, but also 1 foot in direct support. So you were something we'll call a practical leader. So you were the pivot in the wheel. You make so you sort of the practical interpretation of policies, procedures, strategies, good practice. You were that person. And it gave me, it was a really good balance where, yes, I enjoyed the theoretical side of things, the paperwork, but also was able to, lead from the front and be able to provide support to people living with a disability. But also when we're having challenges with support staff that will come in, actually be able to lead and show what good looks like was some of the things that I enjoy. So yeah,
really the hamburger in the middle, that role. And I know a lot of people do struggle with it. That's because you're really stuck in that spot because you're trying to please both sides and it's difficult.
It is. You're managing both. Well, I actually don't like using the word manage because you don't manage people, you lead people. But you sort of, I will use the word, you sort of have to manage up and manage down because, it takes a really good, I think it is possible. It takes a lot of self-awareness and a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to understand where, yes, senior management, where they're coming from, but how do I interpret this to make it work for my team? And our key phrase there would be, what's in it for me? So in everything you communicate to your people that report to you, direct support workers, is what's in it for them. Like, okay, cool, there's a new change. What's in it for me? Yeah.
Was that your baptism of fire?
I'll tell you a story. I think I was early 20s when I first got the role in the South Australian leadership role. Fresh out of uni, I showed up on my first shift on a Saturday, and 20-year-old, about 20-year-old-ish, a black man, and traditionally in the sector, you have this tendency where people believe that males were not in a position or equipped enough to provide that sort of support because we were not quote unquote naturally nurturing. So I rocked in on my first shift. There were a few people on, few ladies that were working on the day, middle-aged women, and it was really eye-opener. It was, I think there was an interpersonal conflict happening with the two people on shift at the time, and I had no idea about it. So one of them goes, all right, I'm going to go out for my break. I'm going to take my full 1 hour break now. And I one of the ladies put me on the side, don't let her take a break now. We have to do this. We have to do this. We have to do that. And I was like, okay, cool. So we have people that we need to support. I need to go out at a specific time. We have a person who's saying, I want to go on a break now because I've got my kids that I would just want to go touch base on. How do I mitigate this? And luckily enough, I just took 5 minutes and then I go, how can we ensure we have both? So I think to cut a long story short, what we end up settling on was, yes, you can go have a break. We can have 30 minutes and you can have another 30 minutes later. And then we can just ensure we are still able to meet our deadlines with the activities that were set up because at the time it was a children's respite. Yeah.
It's like full negotiation. I try to explain to people that it's a really hard job to explain to people what you actually do on a day-to-day basis. But there is this form of negotiation when you're managing people like other staff, like how to get to where we want and how we can have an environment that's really safe. Because like you said, trying to find everyone's intentions of why they're asking for something.
Yeah. Look, I enjoyed it. But key point for me at that time was, I think I had a reflection meeting with the person I reported to, and I brought it up with her and we just started talking about what did you learn. So following that, the practical implication of that lesson was when we arrive on shift, the first thing we do out of all we check in, you've had your handover, is we map out the rest of the shift. When you want to have your break today, these are the activities we need to do. How do we fit in what you need to do? Because that's important with the actual job that we need to get done. And it became a thing where we were able to cascade it down through the whole team. So even when I was not around, that was a thing that we had not a contract, but we had a mutual understanding as to how the shift is going to run. So there was no issues around misplaced intention.
Some people would listen to what you're saying and go, "Oh, I've never heard of that happen." And now if we use a common language in a seal house, like that, that's new. Like I haven't heard of that before. Is this something that you have to create within a house? You believe, like, having that type of culture that you can hand the next activity down to make sure that it is in line with what for the people that we serve, like in the best way possible?
Yeah, look, that's a really important question because I think even now it exists, even though we might not admit it. There's a tendency, or historically, or I don't know even now, in some pockets where we go, oh, you need to live. When you walk in through the door as a disability support worker, you need to embody or take our values, and then you just drop everything out and walk in. We know that's not the case because at the end of the day, we're individuals, right? People have different sort of variables that happen in their lives at any given time. So what we're able to then do is when you have teams, it's being able to sit and understand what the overall strategic idea is as a business, what we stand for. How does that how do we interpret that into day-to-day support? That's usually your stock standard stuff. But what does that actually mean for me practically when I arrive on shift? And how can I still ensure that I'm able to meet that, but still have quality outcomes for the people who support, while still ensuring that my ideas and feelings are validated and I'm acknowledged. And what that means for us is just having a genuine, open conversation. There's a saying, respect trumps harmony. It does not say respect is better than or supersede that harmony. So respect is the foundation of how you build a sort of relationship, because when there's respect, then you're more likely to have conflict that are productive. You're able to have your opinions discussed and acknowledged, and if there's something we need to put across. So I think it's still important today in terms of building teams. Fundamentals of that is just anchored in respect and just having an open dialogue where people can share what they think and see how you bring that to life.
So you've come a long way from the 20-year-old from Chapel Street. Do you believe that what you're talking about and what you've said about respect, is that something that's come because you've learnt it through the disability sector, or is that your time from the army? Because working in the army and working in the NDIS sector are different, because army's very black and white, and then parts of the NDIS can be a little bit grey because the people that we serve are so individualized.
You know what? Someone has asked me that before, and I had to pause to reflect and answer that. I think they're both similar. And I'll tell you why. It's all in the interest of serving somebody else, right? So the ultimate, you hear in the army, you hear the concept of the ultimate sacrifice, which is putting your life in defense of somebody else, the nation, your colleagues, your mates. And when you work in the disability sector, it's still about, it's service first. It's understanding someone's needs and making sure that trumps. And even you have this challenge or conflict that arise in complex supports, where you might have scenarios where a person living with a disability might demonstrate, engage in behaviours of protest because things are not working quite for them, that might involve or look like physical harm to others. And naturally people go, well, yes, I'm at risk. We need to increase restrictive practices. But in turn, what that means is impeding on this individual's human right. So it's almost how do you then go, okay, cool. Yes, I understand what the inherent risks are working in complex support. I understand the strategies that are put in place, but I see this individual as a person. And you hear this language come up around a lot. When I started, it was called universal acceptance. I think the phrase of it now is unconditional positive regard, right? And what that means simply is, I see you, I hear you, I'm not judgmental, I'll meet you where you are at. And it's the same as you might go, well, the army is black and white. Not necessarily, because you're still working alongside people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still a concept of people and where you fit in, and having the objective being what the end state is, and how do you work collectively as a team to be able to achieve that. That's what I'll say to that.
So before you went to the army, you did have quite a successful career in the disability sector. Why jump to the army for a little bit?
No, so I'm still a reservist now.
Yep.
So I still serve now. And the army, interesting. tidbit about that is I've always wanted to do it. Even when I was in high school, before I went to university, it's something I wanted to do. I really do believe there's a synergy between what I do in my reserve service and what I do in the disability sector. Honestly, I do. It's how do you merge the green? How do you bring the green into your civil life? And I am obsessed with this concept of leadership. And most importantly,
You couldn't tell.
is how do you motivate, inspire, people to be able to achieve a goal? That is a fascinating because it's a deep human psychology. It's how do you do that, knowing that people have so many variables that they come with. And what I do with the army, some of those skills that I've learned there, I'm able to translate to what I do in the disability sector, but also what I do in the disability sector, being able to self-awareness, patience, understanding things from somebody else's perspective, taking all those considerations into play, preparation and being proactive in your support when you're working with somewhat complex behaviors, the planning, the risk assessment that you do, all those sort of things contribute with my army role because they're setting instances where you're able to have a very deep conversation and stay calm in very chaotic scenarios. And I remember one time someone said to me, we're doing an activity and, without going into detail, someone has come through and we're having a chat, just trying to understand who they are. Total stranger. Well, they're meant to be total stranger, but just being able to engage and have a conversation with them. I remember the DS, the direct staff at the time who was supervising, said to me, "Oh my God, you could have spoken to this individual for like the longest time." But yes, I can because of what we do in the disability sector, being able to interact and talk to people.
It is, yes, the people skills. I think we take it for granted how much skills that we've learned at the beginning, at the core of it as support workers, we learn so much skills about people and how to interact and how to have a conversation going so we can get as much information as possible so we can support you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, but I think a lot of people that know me would describe me as someone who's very quiet and observant. However, but when I work in the disability sector, yes, I am observant, but I am able to engage and hold the conversation. So a lot of people sometimes are quite surprised when they see me work in the sector. They're going, "Yeah, we've always thought you're so reserved and always so serious."
Yeah, but it does take that observation skills because you're picking up on people's body language. Because body language, tells a really big story about how somebody is fitting in or not fitting into what's going on in their environment then and there.
Yeah,
It's reading the room.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, look, I can talk about that sort of defense and how that relates to the work we do in the disability sector quite a bit. But I think it's the other way around for me. The work we do in the disability sector makes me a better serving member in the Defence Force.
So how did you guys, all right, I've got to ask the question. How did we get from here to opening up your own NDIS business? Because it is a very big jump of faith, to, put yourself out there and open up a service because there's no guarantees.
Yes. So my wife is the one that is the business owner, and this is something she's always done over the years, even while I was still working in the sector for an organization. So my wife's background is she's a registered nurse, worked in aged care, obviously worked in the disability sector when she was still in uni, worked for local government hospitals in different sort of roles. And where the gap existed for her in the default process of starting Hopewell was that you find in the disability sector, individuals who are present with complex behaviors have a very hard time interacting or engaging with the health system, right? So, and also you find individuals with complex health in the disability sector might also, in some cases, engage in what we might describe as complex behaviors of protest, which then, so you have what she saw in the gap she saw is where the intersection between complex behaviors and complex health intersect, there was a gap there. So she started the business primarily to be able to work with people with high intensity support. And she'd been doing it on the side while she's been working. And the decision for me to come over and join her on this path happened for me late last year. And sort of quit my role and started working for her earlier this year. And just try to help bring our vision to life. But also for me, there was a really big, apart from the fact that we're working in a family business, there was a really big opportunity for me to be able to help guide a small business and make it truly boutique. Because if I'll be honest with you, we got in quite frustrated over the last couple of years with a lot of things happening in the sector, and we're using that frustration to drive change. And the biggest way I could do that, where I've got the most sphere of influence, is through working for my wife.
You proud of her?
Absolutely, every day. Look, this lady, boss lady, we've got 2 kids, one turning 4, one turning 2, and she's pregnant, due later this year.
Congratulations.
Running a business, and I think one of the biggest headaches she has probably is me. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely proud, so extremely proud of her and what she does.
Did you have to apply for your role?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, no. Seriously,
Yeah,
it was a conversation between her and some of the people she work with, and obviously we even have a declaration in the conflict of interest register with a full breakdown of like the fact that I'm qualified to be able to do the job and what that looks like. So it was above board, and I'm sure obviously she's my wife, but it was I believe I'm the right person at the right time to be able to support the business in the next phase of wherever they want to go next.
A lot of mum and dad businesses out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sector, a lot. Yeah. And in all different parts of it too. So if it works, it works. But what I was going to ask, is there any particular, I know that you guys do intensity, but is it in one-to-one capacity? Is it a group, or is it SEAL housing? Where do you guys fit into the picture? So
originally our biggest work is sort of in a one-to-one community in-home space, because again, working with people with complex behaviours, one of the place where we've got the most risk is in the community settings. Too much variables. But we've got a footprint in the SEAL support, but very niched in the sense of we work looking at individuals not only with complex health, because there are a lot of providers that do really great work working in complex health. There are a lot of providers do really great work working in complex behaviours. Like I said, again, where we do our best work is sort of where that intersects, where you've got individuals with comorbidities, some health-related diagnosis, but also accompanying complex behaviours or protests. That's where we come in, because she then brings that clinical knowledge, and I bring all the skills and knowledge that I've had primarily working in the complex behaviour space, and then bringing that together. So what support coordinators naturally have with us is, we are going to be the ones that will see through your care team meetings, bringing all the years of experience together, and also I still, and she still does most of the risk assessment. A really good example of this recently, we have an individual with support with multiple health-related diagnoses, but also present with complex behaviours of protest. And the psychiatrist was looking at changing or introducing a new medication and needed to capture blood pressure data for a period of time. And the benefit of how we do our thing is because she's a registered nurse, and some of the people we have as disability support workers are registered enrolled nurses. We save the family a cost, so they don't have to bring in a registered nurse to be able to do that, because Sandra can easily do that, or one of the team members we have can do that. And so you find that it's a benefit for the family and the person in their plan, because they don't have to outsource that. But also you having the expertise in-house, which means we not only bring she doesn't only bring the expertise from a clinical point of view, we know the person as really well because we're already providing that support as well.
Are you guys dedicated to one area of Melbourne, or are you a bit everywhere? Like,
it's really, so we main footprint is the metro and some pockets in the southeast, but southeast, as you probably know, very saturated. So we are mainly operating around the Seaford, Frankston, Mornington Peninsula area. And in the Eastern Metro,
we've got terrible shifts you'd have there near the beach. I don't know how you guys would ever cope.
It's absolutely brilliant. You're talking about, when you say we'll go for going out to in the community, there's so much to do in that sort of environment. But also the people who support in the Eastern Metro as well, there's quite a lot of activities there as well. And it's a very short drive to escape the business as well in the Eastern Metro, because you can always go down to Hillsville, always go down to Coldstream, a way to be more Porter Way. And we have a little bit of a footprint around, is it North Melbourne, Northeast Melbourne? A little bit, yeah.
So all up, how many participants do you provide support to?
At the moment, around 12 to 15, fluctuates because some of them you engage with probably once or twice every 3 months. And then you have your existing cohort. But
Did you support
as
any of
well.
them prior to joining Hopewell? Like they're
No.
not from any home.
So
They're all
one of the
fresh.
things,
Like they're not people that you
yes,
brought. Yeah.
one of the things I'm extremely proud is a wrong word to use because I should not be proud about that. I have a rule where, and I say it in my own language, I'll say it and then I can break it down, which is I'll never take bread from people I used to break bread with.
Oh yes.
I'll never do that.
Yeah.
So I'll never go back and poach client from anybody. Never. It's not my thing. I'll never do it. And not because I've got really great relationship with some of the families that I've worked with for years in different roles. I would never do that.
If you're doing a good job, just leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's my sort of philosophy. So none of the none of the people we work with are from existing relationships. All of them have been, fresh.
How do you find new relationships to build with new participants to bring them to you? Because it's not easy. A lot of people I know are struggling to find that, like, that relationship with people to start fresh in an area.
This is where I'm going to be a bit vulnerable as well. So when I left my role, I had this impression in my head, like I've got such long history in the sector. I've got great reputation with all the support coordinators. I know this person, I know that person. I was going to just call them and then they'll go, yeah, Kelvin's awesome with us. We know his work. Let's give him client. Did not happen. So many people I used to work with even ghosted me, right? No, and I'm not salty about that. It's just the reality of the industry we're working. Right? Yep. You then get to realize some relationships are only exist when there's some sort of benefit coming from you into that. Right? No harm, no foul. That was probably a really good thing because it forced me to learn how to generally do growth in an organic sort of way. So what does that look for us at the moment? Honestly, Sarah, it's just relationships. The first time I met you, I think you said to me, usually I'm the first one to say hello to people and sort of introduce myself. I'll walk up to you and I sort of introduce and go, hey, that's the sort of way we do it now. It's just being able to meet people, talk about the work you do. And in some cases, it's less about even the work you do. It's just talking about your why, what drives you. And people go, oh yeah, okay, I like that. Let's see what this person is all about. And then once you've got that social proof to say, yes, these people are quality provider, a boutique provider, this is what they're really good at, then you get those natural referrals. But I think another thing I'll say that is important as well is it's tempting to want to dilute your message and what you stand for just because you're desperate to get clients. You have to be so disciplined to say this is the avatar, this is the core of people we'll work with, and stick to that.
Yep. Has it been hard to stick to?
Absolutely. Yes, it's extremely tempting to be able to go, oh yes, but we can do that. Oh, mate, that's an extra X amount of money. Yes, no, but just being able to have that, because then you want to be able to say when someone goes Kelvin, they know exactly the sort of people you work with.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
Has that been one of the hardest lessons to learn? Because I think sometimes, if I refer to myself being Sarah, the support worker, I found it really easy to walk into a new person's home and to start a conversation and how's your day, and get straight into what I need to do to serve this person. When you're walking into a networking event, it doesn't always feel that easy and it doesn't always come naturally. Yeah, for me, it doesn't always. It can be really hard.
I am, like I said, I think people usually say Kelvin is not necessarily a social butterfly, and that there's some element of truth to that. So social engagement actually take away from me. So I have to reset my battery as we full to go out and engage in social event and then deplete that when I come home. I'm extremely exhausted. I could run a marathon.
I didn't exhaust you.
No, it's not. It's just who I am. I'm not naturally. So there are a lot of people where they engage in social environments, their cup get filled. For me, it's so much. And also the challenging thing about networking events that I value deep, meaningful conversation. That sounds so sleazy.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And not necessarily the shallow, it's not necessarily my jam.
I love a why.
So, yeah.
Give me a why any day. I want to know why. Why open a business in a sector that's really difficult?
Yeah. And I'll also tell you a funny thing that happened once, which is, I think 3 months in, a bit down, I'll be honest. And I was sitting in our room and then I was just spitballing ideas in my head. And then I started talking to our friend, ChatGPT. I don't know if anybody does that. And I was just trying to map out because when I want to map things out, there's a lot of things in my head and I usually just ramble on and ChatGPT will make it sound a bit more coherent. And then I think for some reason it was sensing the frustration in my tone, and it said something quite interesting. It says, "Oh, it sounds like something about growth is really frustrating and driving you, and almost making it sound as if I was a bit down." And that was a wake up call for me to say, "This is actually really, really hard. It was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be, and I genuinely need help." And what that looked like for me then was actually making conscious effort to reach out to people who've done this before and go, "Hey, look, I have no idea what I'm doing. How do I do it?"
So have you got a coach or a mentor that you turn to?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you allowed to
Tom?
name drop or not?
Yeah. So Tom Hitchcock, Mr. Purple.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's and he's perfect for me because I don't like the fluff. Just say to me, hit me. And he's great. And through him I've been able to find my tribe as well, connected to some like minded people. There are a few other people around that might not talk to often as well, but I know I can pick up the phone at any time. Canute, Con, yeah, there are a few other people that I'm just not off the top of my head now that people go, "Oh, Calvin, you didn't name me," but yeah,
We won't tell them.
yeah.
It is so good and so important to have somebody to discuss business with and to find your tribe. Was there a bit like, did you have to kind of like kiss a couple of frogs till you got to Mr. Purple, or you just found your person or your purple?
Again, at the same event I met you at, and we were talking with some other people, and he was talking about coaching, and because I've played sports for a big portion of my life, and I was just reflecting on how important coaches are, and coaches are not there to do it for you. They're there to be able to help you come up with the answer yourself.
Yeah.
But coach you through that. And then that's what and then we spoke a little bit about what he does, and then we have a few conversations afterwards, and then it just clicked. You sound like an individual who you definitely want to have in your corner.
So good. So
Yeah.
from that event that you two hooked
Yes. Yes.
Wow. So that was a really good networking event for you.
It,
You got
it
a
was.
podcast here and you got a coach.
Yeah. And it was brilliant. But again, there was so much. I had so many productive conversations. But do you come away with one or two or three people that you go, "Oh yeah, that really resonates," and I want to be in touch with this individual.
Did you go with the intentions before the event that what you wanted to come back with?
No.
Just
I think that was week 2 since the decision to come and work for my wife. And I think the early conversation with some people were like, "Yeah, just attend as many networking events as you possibly can, and then you eventually scale back and find out which ones you really want to do." And that day was just, man, let's go see what. I think that was the first networking event I actually went to.
Yep.
First, yeah, it was the first one. So I didn't know what to expect, and yeah.
Well, you
happy I
left
did.
an impression.
Yeah, happy I went.
Well, it was good to meet both of you.
Yeah, it was lovely. And the thing that resonated with me from that I met you, you so soft spoken, but yet very keen listener. People naturally want to talk and engage just in your presence, which is a really great skill to have. I am not somebody who opens up a lot. No, but it's you don't even have to do that. I think people just naturally there's your presence. People just naturally feel comfortable enough to be able to talk. And the thing, people, your source of knowledge, in the sense of you speak to so many people with different experience, life skills, who've done business, work in the NDIS space. You've heard most of it. And if anybody's looking for advice or guidance, you can sort of reflect back on your conversation. "Oh, Kelvin mentioned this. X, Y, and Z mentioned. Oh, okay. This is all I know. X, Y, and Z person." So yeah, I think people will be doing them a disservice by not engaging and trying to reach out and sort of build some sort of connection with you.
To be honest, I find it fun, or I don't know, you give back. So we give back to the people that we serve, but also if I can just it doesn't cost me much at all. In fact, it does feel good when you get to be like, "Oh, so and so does that. Oh, this person does this. Oh, you need a support coordinator. Northern suburbs. I know somebody." It doesn't take much to give somebody a referral. In fact, it's so easy to do, and we should do it more instead of gatekeep that information.
Yeah, spot on. Look, I'm trying to be cautious because, again, I've got what you see is what you get with me most of the time, but also noting that you have to be able to articulate and communicate it with a bit of respect. But I find quite a lot of people you meet in the sector are very unique and interesting individuals in terms of their motivation and intentions. And you tend to highlight and identify that quite quickly. And yeah, I would have used a more straightforward, colorful language if I was not on a podcast. But yeah, it's just that's just so you find the cohort of people or a few individuals who you go, yeah, you're in this for the right reason. Independent of the money is a byproduct of good work. The referral is a byproduct of, a substance to what you stand for. That's honestly what I believe and how we operate. So the money it's a natural byproduct of the good work that you do and being able to where people genuinely see value, because the market, as you said, is very saturated. So you need to be able to generate value or be of value to people.
Yeah. Well, we are from a much older time where money for being a support worker wasn't always acknowledged. I was laughing today. I was at a networking event and I was like, yeah, I remember the days that I was paid $17 an hour and I would provide care to 6 people. It was,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so if you fast forward to now, the average rate of what a support worker, if you are casual, is getting is completely different. And, the standards have arisen, but sometimes the quality hasn't gone with it because the NDIS kind of blew up really quickly and we're all just trying to catch up, really.
Yeah. Look, I totally agree with that as well. Look, I know there are a lot of providers out there that try to do the right thing, and it just comes down to leadership for me. Everything starts and ends with leadership. It sounds very rudimental if you just put it down to that, but because, even you look at what's going on in the sector at the moment, again, staying away from the politics, but it's just, as a sector, I think we're screaming for strong leadership from the top and all the way through.
Agree. 100%.
Yeah.
So with your with the business and like with your strong emphasis on leadership, where do you guys see yourselves, say, 5 years from now?
We sort of set goals and ambitions in 10 years and a decade plus, because you give yourself a lot of time to really see what that looks like. Next 5 years for me would be, I said to Tom the other day, we were talking about the next 12 months, and I go, one of the things that we really want to do is we want to do an impact report, right? So what that means in a nutshell is being able to say, over the last 12 months, this is the impact, or these are the impacts we've had. Like we say we stand for, a lot of people are told that the support are too complex. We respectfully disagree. Okay, what does that look like in practice, right? How is that actually translated to someone having a positive impact through that statement? And so underneath all of it, or like the key foundation for what we want to do next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years is how much impact we're having. And the more you grow, the wider your sphere of influence and the more people you can impact. So that's the fundamentals.
You've got a big 12 months with baby 3 number on the way. As a mum of 3, good luck.
Yeah. Look, I tell you, my wife I don't know how she does it.
Look, there's something that goes, I don't know what us women do. We just have kids and think, why not just open a business? Like, how hard could it be?
But she's been doing, the good thing is the business has been sort of in operations for a while. We say it's not new. It's been in operation since 2021. It's just that not really paid too much attention to it because I was busy just trying to grow my own career. And she was, from having kids and everything else, probably even holding a job. Hopewell was just a side business, honestly. And I think we're just at a position now where we actually want to be able to, spend a bit more time on it, grow it, but most importantly, increase the sphere of influence we have to impact people's lives and hopefully in a positive way.
Fantastic. For anyone listening to the podcast, what is the easiest way to contact you?
LinkedIn.
On
our website. It's all our details are there. But I was reflecting with James, not a member that
dropping all my friends now.
No, look, I actually had a very lovely dinner with him, and my God, he's a wealth of knowledge. Really, really, really good individual. And we spoke about everything, not just business, but fatherhood and all that. So I was saying to him how terrible we are as a business in terms of marketing. So, and I need to come to grips with the fact that yes, we run a business and we need to be able to tell people our story and be able to share that in terms of marketing. But I'm mainly about let the work speak for itself.
You know what? Yeah. There's an organization that I know from Geelong, and you do not see any images of any of the people that they support on their social media. You see the homes that they create for people and the background, but you never actually see images of the people that they serve because it's out of respect for their life, so private to what they do. And I love that. I do love things like that. And there are people like I know independent support workers that are fully booked out and they don't use social media.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, you can use it. Fine, go for it. But if you're doing a really good job, the right people know.
Yeah.
And you're booked out
great.
because you were doing what you said you were going to do and you saw it through. And I believe that, the referrals that you get and the reviews, like from parent to parent sometimes, they talk. Small countries, towns, they talk. Our people that we serve, they talk to each other. They all talk. Yep. And they're all looking for people that are going to provide really good care towards them, whether it's an independent or a provider. It's who meets their needs the most.
Yep. Yeah, spot on. Wouldn't have said it any better. But yeah, look, that'll be it. LinkedIn, website, reach out.
Yep. And for anyone listening, what is your website address?
Pulling the tricks on me today.
That's a trick?
Yeah. If you just type www.hopewell, Hopewell, communitycare.com.au, sure you'll find it.
Yep. And for LinkedIn, what is your last name? Because you got Kelvin
Kamara. So
right.
Kamai.
Thank you so much for the podcast. And I will put the details in the description below for anyone listening. Thank you.
No, I really appreciate you, Sarah.
All right, bye.